Hello, hello. I'm Tanis. This is the Tanis Fiber Arts YouTube channel. We talk about all things knitting, all things color. Tanis Fiber Arts is a hand-dyed yarn company, and I'm also a pattern designer. I'm referencing this. This is not a knit that I designed, but it is a sweatshirt I designed. So let's talk about it. That's sort of the focus of this video, I think, if any of my videos have any focus whatsoever, will be this sweatshirt, holiday planning, holiday gifts I have in the shop, and then we'll move on. There's your timeline, my outline of the video. So this sweatshirt, let me give some backstory. No, before I give backstory, I'm just going to give like a real general vibe of what this sweatshirt is, if it's not already obvious. It's a navy crew neck sweatshirt with knit embroidered across the left chest. It's an embroidery. There's 2 colors per letter. It's got like a shadow effect look. I'm really, really happy with how it came out. You have no idea how hard it was for me to not just do like a gradient. I played with so many different colors before deciding on this. Still obviously rainbow inspired, but it's not like in the Roy G. Biv order. So I'm just really letting loose and going crazy here. And I'm proud of that. So this is the sweatshirt. A couple years ago, I decided to do a t-shirt. I think it was it 2019 maybe, probably. I did a Tanis Fiber Arts t-shirt for fun. I decided to design a logo, and since the most accessible way to get things, or I thought at the time, made is to have them screen printed. Okay, you design your t-shirt, your logo, whatever, and then there's lots of companies that do screen printing. Turns out there's also lots of companies that do embroidery, so screen printing is not the only option. But like depending on the size and the scale of your design, you know, sometimes screen printing is better suited, sometimes embroidery is. So I did a screen printed t-shirt, and I kind of just want to talk about how much thought goes into designing a t-shirt for a brand like mine, where I'm not a t-shirt company, I'm not a graphic design company, I'm a knitting company. So I wanted a t-shirt that, and this applies to the sweatshirts that I then later made, the same sort of train of thought. I wanted a t-shirt, I wanted a design that reflected me and the business and that I would actually buy and wear. I didn't just want a sweatshirt, or at the time a t-shirt, that just said Tanis Fiber Arts, knitting yarns in big letters, that was just like a big logo across the whole front, because that's not something that I would buy from anybody to wear. You know, that's just not my personal style. And so it was really important to me that whatever I offered reflected my personal style, something that I would actually wear. So then, because they were screen printed, I really leaned on kind of like a 70s aesthetic, like having a graphic in, had to be different colors because I didn't feel like doing a single color would represent my business, and I couldn't come up with a really clever single color logo. I wish I could, because you pay by the color. So if there was just one thing in one color that really represented me, I'd be laughing. But I have yet to come up with that thing. I don't have a single color logo. My closest thing I have to a logo is this star that has 16 colors. Not helpful for printing or embroidering or whatever, putting on apparel. At any rate, so I was leaning into sort of like the 70s aesthetic, a big graphic kind of a thing. We made the t-shirts. I absolutely loved them, and people seemed to like them as well. And then a few people, I must have heard it quite often, were like, this is great, I'd love it on a sweatshirt. Can you make this on a sweatshirt? And actually, now that I say that, the company, we worked with a local company to screen print the t-shirts, and they threw in, I think there was a mistake with the first batch of t-shirts that I ordered from them. They had printed them on the wrong shirt. So to sort of make up for that. When they reprinted them on the correct shirt, they threw in 2 hoodies, a little tote bag, like just a couple extra things with the logo, with the design printed on it. And so I had a hoodie with this design printed on it, and I would wear it. And when I must have posted on an Instagram or whatever of me wearing it, people asked if they were available. People really, I think more so than t-shirts, people were excited about the idea of a sweatshirt, of a hoodie. So fast forward to holiday 2021. So a couple years went by before I was able to sort of go on to the sweatshirt, the next step. That was hard to spit out, sorry. Last holiday season, I designed a sweatshirt, similar in vibe, the sort of stripe. Oh, actually, I brought it with me to show you. This was last year's sweatshirt. So the t-shirt that we designed was on a white t-shirt. And when they printed me the sweatshirts as like a bonus, they printed it on this exact gray sweatshirt. And so I knew that I really liked it. I knew that it was something that I would wear a lot. And also it's size inclusive. It comes in size small to 5XL. 5XL, I believe it's either 68 or 70 inch circumference. I can check. I'm here on my computer. Let me double check that. I know size small has a 40 inch circumference, and that's what I wear. And that's it's not a tight fitted sweatshirt, obviously. It's a cozy, not super oversized, just kind of standard fit. Like I wear a small in pretty much all ready to wear stuff, and I wear a small in this, and it fits exactly how you would want a sweatshirt to fit. So I'm really happy about that. And then, yeah, the 5XL is a 68 inch chest circumference. It's a unisex fit, and it's quite hard to find sweatshirts to print or t-shirts to print that are size inclusive and unisex. I didn't want a sweatshirt that was like really feminine with like waist shaping and maybe like a off the shoulder neckline. Like I wanted just a sweatshirt, you know, something that would be really wearable for everybody. And so this one fits the bill, and that's important. So there's a sweatshirt I did last year, and it really tied in with last year. Our holiday gift bundle included 6 mini skeins. How many colors? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? I don't know. Maybe it was 8. I think it was 8. 8 mini skeins in essentially this color palette. And then I had a mug, and I had a pin, and I kind of worked around. This was like my whole jumping off point for the holiday gift bundle last year. And it was a success. I was really, really happy with it. I had, not knowing how to manage it, I placed a big order for sweatshirts and screen printed in this with this design. And I didn't order nearly enough. They sold out like that day immediately, which was super exciting. But I was like, oh man, I should have ordered more sweatshirts. Like I was getting a lot of emails. People wanted them. So I did a pre-order, and in the pre-order, I ordered twice as many as I had ordered the first time. So like I really underestimated how they were going to go. So then I guess that brings us to this year. This year we're doing it in a pre-order combo fashion. So what I'm doing is they're currently, if you're watching this the day that I launched the video, they are currently available, this sweatshirt, this year's version, for pre-order. But then when I place the order to have them printed or embroidered, I'm going to order more than have been ordered. So that'll have extra in the shop for people who don't catch it right away, or who decide later on that they really want one. You know, they'll be in the shop for a little bit. That's my goal. It's not now or never. It's not just a weekend that they're available to buy. And I'm hoping that works. The other kind of cool thing, somebody told me this last year, somebody who does another small business who has done sweatshirts and stuff before, that when you do it that way, at least you also get sort of a good idea of what sizes. Like there are some, this pre-order has been open for about a day now, and there's one size that has not been ordered. And then there's one size that has been ordered twice as much as the other size. So I'm sort of hoping that gives me an idea of generally what is going to be the more popular sizes. Like what do people need? So then when I do order over stock, like more than what has actually been ordered by customers, I can do the proportion. Like instead of just ordering 10 extra in every size, when some sizes are way less popular than others, I can make my plans appropriately. So it's just like a helpful way to do it. So I think that's gonna work really well. And so this one, I'm really, really happy. So this is the thing, I kind of touched on how critical it is to me to have, I overthink it. I 100% overthink it. I think of it in terms of what I want to wear. And in doing that, I think about it in terms of my actual wardrobe. And I'm like, I don't need another gray hooded sweatshirt like this because I already have two. I have the one that they made me the first year I did the t-shirts, and then I have this one. I'm like, I'm good for gray hoodies. So I wanted to do something not gray and not a hoodie. And I was looking sort of at the sweatshirts that I own. I don't own like a million, but I probably own 6. And I have one that I wear the most. And now this is going to like, actually no, I said I have 2 hoodies and I wear my 2 gray hoodies. But I have a navy blue crew neck sweatshirt that embroidered across the middle. It just says bonjour, hello in French, really simple. And it's really cute. And I think it's one of my most worn sweatshirts. I really like it. I find it goes with, it goes with everything. It's a sweatshirt, but I wear it a lot and I feel really cute when I wear it. I don't feel like I'm wearing a hoodie. I don't feel like I'm, which can just be, I'm saying hoodie like it's a bad thing, but it's just kind of more casual. It's not like a sweatshirt without a hood is automatically more dressy. It's just, pop on a gold chain and you're ready for dinner. I don't know. I just find that it's like a really easy, wearable, and put together look. Obviously, I wear it with pajama pants as well. But on days where I put on like a little like jeans and maybe like a cute boot, I feel put together still. And you're still just wearing a sweatshirt. So it just really got me sold on sort of like the dark color sweatshirt. And it got me interested in trying to see if I could get it embroidered instead of screen printed. Because the embroidery too kind of elevates it a little bit. And then I came up with this. Again, it's not exactly totally reinventing the wheel, seeing as how my other one is also a knit. I didn't overthink that. I just wrote knit because I didn't want to write Tannis Fiber Arts. I didn't want to write, I don't know what, if I was going to write a word, it's small, it fits on the left chest, it seems like appropriate. And it is what I love. It's what I do. I knit. I'm a knitter. So that's how I came up with this. And I really hope that you guys love it and wear it as much as I do. I know I'm going to live in this. It's perfect. So that is currently available and it will be available for some time because I can always reorder it as well. Here's another kind of, I think it's kind of interesting. This time to get it embroidered, I prioritized finding a Montreal company to do the embroidery. And I'm really, really happy about that. So the t-shirt that I did a couple years ago, I worked with a Montreal screen printing company and it was perfect. It worked really, really well. Aside from the part where they printed all my t-shirts on the wrong t-shirt, but they fixed the mistake and I could go down and pick them up myself. I didn't have to pay any shipping. The day they were ready is the day I could go get them. So there was no lead time or, sort of waiting for that. And the saving on shipping is a lot. It's gonna be hundreds of dollars for a big order, right? And then when I did the sweatshirt, it was still in COVID times. So I don't even know if I could have gone and picked them up in person. I don't know whether we reached out to the company. I'm not sure. It's all a fog. It was COVID times. I ordered them online from a Canadian company, but out of Vancouver. And they were great. They were fine. But the delay, it takes like a week for things to get to Montreal from Vancouver. And it just didn't seem quite as ideal. Like I thought, oh, you know what? I'm in a big city where there's definitely companies doing this sort of thing. I'm going to do a bit more homework to try to find somebody local. And I just can't I can't recommend it enough. The company I'm working with for these, I can call them on the phone, same time zone. I'm going to go pick up the order when it's ready. So then I get to meet the guy too and see his business, which is kind of fun also. I just think that it is. So the day that the sample was ready, that he did this test. So I only have this one currently, right? Like I send him to the design. I tell him what I want it on. You have to sort of go back and forth about thread color choice for the embroidery or ink color choice for the screen print. And the day it was ready is the day I got it and was able to list it, do it right away. Anyways, I'm just really thrilled with having found somebody local. So if you're in the market to be ordering bulk, I highly recommend that you look in your own city. That's all. The other thing, I already touched on it, but I do recommend you try to, if you're starting a business and you need a logo, limit it to 1 or 2 colors, because it just makes everything easier down the line. I have not done that and I have survived. It's been okay. But it's just, had I known this before, I probably would have, you know, made an effort to do that. Anyway, so that's it about the sweatshirt. I think it's pretty evident that I love it. You can look at it for the rest of the video, so you don't need me to keep talking about it and describing it. That's all there is about that. In other news, in other holiday gift news, the site, I think, is full of everything that we're going to have before Christmas. So because really with shipping and everything, you really want to get things in the mail. The first, obviously, 2 weeks of December. I mean, the first week of December, really, if you're close to me geographically, then maybe the second week of December is still fine. But, you know, for a small business, it's really November that we're really working our hardest trying to get things out the door, because you really want to make sure they get there for the holidays, right? If that's the point. So the site is now full. We've got our calendars. Every year since 2015, I've done a calendar. And it's just basically, if you follow me on Instagram and you like the types of pictures that I post there, then you're going to love the calendar. I have one in my kitchen and I have one in my office, and I actually took the one down in my kitchen the other day. I think I just took it down to write some stuff in it, but then I didn't put it back up right away. And I was like, I don't even recognize this place. Like, I need the calendar on my wall for my kitchen to feel like home. So I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny. They're really nice quality. Again, I get them printed locally. I just can't, I usually do it at Vistaprint, and that's fine, you know, if you don't have a local printer, but a lot of local printers will do calendars, and I prefer the quality of working with my printer here. He also prints all my labels and stuff like that as well. So I'm just on a real big local small business kick. And it's less expensive. Just in this particular case, I don't think it always is, obviously, but in this case, the calendars end up being less expensive than they were on Vistaprint. So worth it. The calendars are available. We also, I'm going to mention it, but they might not be available anymore by the time this airs. But we have our holiday sock club. So in previous years, we've done a holiday gift bundle, which is usually has contained like a skein of yarn, a custom colorway and a skein of yarn, like and a project bag, the calendar, and stitch markers or some other kind of knitterly thing. And I've been experimenting doing other things in the past couple of years. Like last year, instead of doing just a single skein of yarn, I did a mini skein set. And there was no project bag last year either, I don't think. I did a mug instead. And then this year, I've done something completely different. It's a holiday sock club. So it's sort of, in theory, a little bit of a Advent style. It's not 24 mini skeins, it's 4 skeins. And you could open 1 a week in the month of December. You can open the entire thing on Christmas if that's something that you do. Or you could do what I would 100% do, which is the day it arrives in the mail, you open it all up and spoil Christmas for everybody. Because I have no chill. I would definitely do that. I did that. So the thing that gave me the idea to do this is there's another dyer, Shirley Bryan yarn. She does the deconstructed fades, really beautiful. I'm sure that she's not the only other small business doing this, but she did one and I got it last year and I really enjoyed it. And the day it arrived, I opened the whole thing and it was like, it would have been fun to prolong the experience. They were all beautiful, but I just kind of like, I look for my own Christmas presents around the house. Like, you know, I'm a disaster. but that's what we're doing this year. So we did the summer sock club this summer, and it was well received. It was really fun. And I really liked the process of going through making all the colors. Like, the whole thing was a success, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to do essentially the same thing. So what we've done is 4 skeins of sock yarn. There is purple label cashmere sock yarn. Beautiful. Everybody loves it. There is a sock set, which is our pure wash sock and 2 minis, 2 corresponding minis, or coordinating minis, I should say. And then there's 2 new, never before seen bases for Tannis Fiber Arts. There's a tweed sock, amazing. And then there's what I'm calling a super soft merino. It's a 19.5 micron merino, which is really, really soft. Truthfully, I'm not 100% confident that I would recommend it for socks because it's so soft. It would be perfect for a hat or a shawl or a sweater. Doesn't have any nylon content, and it's just not as rugged for socks. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful fingering weight yarn. And so we call it a sock club, but like all sock clubs, it's fingering weight yarn. Do whatever you want with it. So I've already knit 2 things with the club colorways. And one of the things is a hat. And I knit it with our tweed yarn, and I knit it with 2 strands held together. So it really is really versatile to collect fingering weight yarn. I'm a huge fan. Like, you don't have to only knit socks with it, and you don't have to only knit fingering weight projects with it either, right? Hold the 2 strands together and you've got a worsted weight yarn for sweaters, hats, whatever you want. So I think that's super fun. And then the second thing, I'm using the sock set to knit a pair of socks. I can't show it to you, but it's in here. This is my project bag, a project bag from Jenna Rose. I went to university with her, to art school. She's one of my best friends, and she makes my favorite project bags, and this one's so cute. So this project isn't there, and it's really funny. I always do this. I did the same thing in the summer with the Summer Sock Club. Is I get really excited about the colorways because we work, more intentionally on those colorways than we generally have to. If I'm just dyeing yarn for an update, it's sort of like, whatever, like we just have fun, we go out there. It doesn't really matter if they coordinate. They're not for, it's really pretty free. And generally we try to make sure we have a variety of colors and styles available. But, other than that, it doesn't really matter. Whereas this, it's like somebody's going to receive this. It might be their only experience with Tannis Fiber Arts yarn so far. Maybe this is the first thing they've ever ordered. Or alternatively, maybe they're huge fans and they've got so much from our collection already, right? They already own a ton of Tannis Fiber Arts yarn and they want something really special because this is a special holiday bundle. So I feel a lot of responsibility that these colors need to be awesome. They're also, you guys are trusting me to put this together. I also think even though they don't need to all coordinate in the sense that you're going to be using them in the same project, like you're not necessarily going to be knitting a 4-color project with the 4 colorways that are included. There's actually 6 colorways included since there's 2 minis with the sock set. But they need to look nice together. Like, for sure, I've done it. I have all the colors, I line them up, and I take a picture, and I'm going to want to post it. And if it's like terrible, who is that helping? And what? Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. And you guys are going to open it. You're going to look at your skeins, and they need to just complement each other, because if they don't look good together, then I feel like the whole effect is ruined. Do you know what I mean? So they need to look good together without all being the same and without being repetitive about, like with stuff that I've done in the past. I also feel like they need to be high impact, or at least some of them do, because, one of our most popular colorways is like smoke. Can I see it even here? Well, smoke, I mean, it's not that, but it's a neutral. I can't see it because it's sold out because it's popular. So a smoke or a Chris gray, like these really neutral light grays, and they're beautiful and they're really, really useful, but I don't think that's what people want in a sock club. You really kind of want to be wowed. So I'm just telling you. Oh, you know what? I have a skein of smoke right in front of me. That's smoke. I'm just saying, it's great. I'm really happy. Oh, this is what I was actually saying. Brings me back to this. So we spend a lot of time working on the colorways, and I'm thinking about the club. I've been thinking about the club pretty intensely for a while. The colorways all come together. They're dyed. I've got samples, once I've got a batch of each to like really confirm our color choices and our color selection. And then I want to cast on, because I'm I'm obsessed with them. I've been thinking about them for so long and I've been tweaking them and perfecting them that once they're perfect, I'm like, that's it. That's the one. Wind it up. Let's start knitting. But then I can't share it because kind of the whole point, and I talked about this in the summer as well, where it's kind of a catch. Is it a catch-22? I'm not sure I'm using that correctly, but let's say it's a catch-22 where I love it. I'm enthusiastic about it. I knit something with it, but I can't post about it while I'm knitting with it. And by the time I can post about it, it's no longer available because I'll post about it in December as the weeks are revealed. But you can't buy it in December. So I suppose the only thing that I will say is maybe working to my advantage is maybe based on my enthusiasm for the yarns, somebody will be persuaded to purchase it while it's still available, or we'll just continue to have clubs in the future, and based on, you know, the results of the previous clubs that you'll see me reveal as time allows, as it's appropriate, then you'll trust to join a future club. Like, you know, this is the thing, like for sure, I'm confident that if some of these colors, if I dyed it, I knit something and then I posted it, a picture of it, and I was like, here's a pre-order for this color, it would do better than the club. I know that from experience. I'm pretty confident. You know, people like to buy something people like to buy stuff to be surprised. The whole concept of a club is fun, but also I think more people like to know what they're spending their money on. So, you know, is it a catch-22? I don't know, because I don't know what that is, but perhaps it is. And it's something that I wish there was a better way. Like maybe it just doesn't have to be a secret. You just know what you're getting. I don't know. I'm going to keep working on. I feel like this year is a year for me to try different things with the company. Maybe it is a year where it's like there isn't a secret sock club for our spring sock club. It's just here are the 3 colorways or 4 colorways you're going to get in the sock club. If you like them, sign up. If you don't. You know, is that better? And I can like promote the yarns ahead of time. Tell me if you think that's a good idea. I don't know. I don't really like systems that are so hard to follow that you need to be like a super fan in order to be able to follow. I'm not naming any names. There's a ton of businesses who function this way, who just kind of go update to update or collection to collection, and they sort of announce ahead of time what the colors are going to be. You've got a very small window to purchase them, and if you don't, then like you'll never be able to purchase it again. And I know that they do it that way because it's just to manage inventory. Like it makes a lot of sense. I carry a lot of inventory, and it's not ideal. But also, when people come to my website, there's always something there for them, you know, and the people who are familiar with my colors and used to my core collection are able to sort of shop at their leisure and buy the things more, I think, intentionally, which is something that is important to me, right? Like it's not there's less always pressure to buy something in this update or else or never. It's just something that I think about a lot, because the 100%, our core collection, the colorways that are always available for us, they're tonal colorways mostly. There's a few like semi-solids, but the tonal colorways are the things that I gravitate towards the most. It's what I think represents us the most. It's what I knit with the most. And they are not our biggest sellers. Like our core collection is absolutely not the thing that sells the most for me. But every day when an order comes in for like, you know, a skein of frost and a skein of ravine and a skein of smoke, and somebody's going to knit a shawl with it, I'm like, I'm glad that I have these. And then every day when I start knitting with orchid and cloak, and I'm just like loving what I'm doing with these colors, I'm so glad that we have them. So I don't think, I talk all the time about maybe we just have to eliminate the core collection because it's just not the thing that sells. You know, maybe there's something else we should be focusing on, but I think I'm too in love with them. And I also like having something on the website. You know, if we just went update to update and somebody new came to the site, and wanted to buy something and there was nothing available. And the only way to know when something is available is to like be super up to date on, you know, to set a timer for once a month. And I just can't keep up with a system. Like as a shopper, as a consumer, I wouldn't be able to keep up with that system. And so I don't expect that my shoppers, my customers to either. I don't know. Maybe I'm too old for this. Who knows? But having gone off on that huge tangent, I'm always sort of exploring what to do, because also we currently, I was chatting with Chris about this. Do you know that I currently have 4 DK weight yarns available in the shop? I think that's the problem. No, it's not a problem. I was gonna say it's the problem when you're like such a yarn lover like myself, obviously, but it's actually what's the opposite of a con? A pro? It's the pro of being such a small business, is that I can order a small amount of a yarn, let's say like the Yak DK, the Yak Silk DK that I stocked I had a big update for it last year, and we'll have more this year once we get our act together, but we'll have more Yak DK because it's such a beautiful yarn and I love having it available. And then we have the Highland DK, which is a merino Corriedale blend, which is so rustic. I use it in my Iggy Peck. Not so rustic, just so different. I just love having a really woolly yarn available as well. We also have the Willow DK still in the shop, and we have Pure Wash DK. And I am very seriously considering ordering some Tweed DK maybe for Boxing Day, just to do an update. And I think like the old Tanis would have been like, what's the system? What's our yarn? Which one do we carry? We need to stock it all the time. And now it's kind of fun to be a bit more fluid with it and to be able to stock different yarns throughout the year seasonally. Speaking of seasonally, I say we have the Willow DK. We have a lot of Willow DK available now because we did an update in September, and then we dyed the remainder of our inventory for sort of like a follow-up update. And it was really large. And now that it's not hot anymore, I feel like it's just, it's not the time for it, but it's available if you want it. But I've been getting a few emails. I've been getting messages from people looking for the Willow fingering weight, not DK. And I don't intend to have it again before the spring. If I could have not had this, I'm pointing here because these shelves behind me that you see full of yarn, that's all Willow DK. And it's not ideal for it to just be sitting here on the shelves. It's a seasonal seller. So next year I will plan to have all the Willow yarn in stock in the spring. And I know some of you are going to argue with me and say, I knit all year long, wool in the summer, silk in the winter, whatever. And then others are going to point out that not everybody lives in a cold climate. And then I will point out they are not shopping for me because nobody is buying Willow in the winter. That's my experience. It's here and it's not moving. So, but Tweed would move, I bet. And you know what? Whether it moves or not is like not my main concern. I know it'll move eventually. It's just what I like to, fun new stuff I like to have, Like I think it would be fun to have a Tweed yarn. I would like to knit a sweater for one of my kids in Tweed. So perhaps I should add Tweed. And so the year of experimenting, I think it started last year, all the experimenting with new bases, because we were having so many problems, supply chain issues with our Pure Wash yarns. And so I sort of had to branch out and try some new things. And it's proven to be pretty fun. And so there you go. I'm into it. The other thing I'm into, so that sort of covers, is that the shop news? Oh, do you know what? There was another piece of shop news that I didn't mention. Let's go back in time and pretend I'm still talking about the calendars and the club and the holiday sock set and the sweatshirts. And to that, I'm going to add that in the shop, if you go to under the shop tab on our website, I've got it divided into patterns, yarn, and notions and goodies. And in the notions and goodies set, I've got all kinds of things. We have stitch markers, I have scissors, I have gleaners, I have soak wash, I have enamel pins, and then I've put them together in little kind of notions bundles, which bundled together you get all these things at a discount. So they're perfect for gift giving, and I might leave them the bundle option all year long. Forget gift giving, like holiday gift giving season is just kind of like appropriate all year long to have fun little notions bundles. So you can check that out on the site. So now I'll tell you a little bit about the knitting that I've been doing. This is going to be a longer video than I usually do. And part of that is because I'm now open to longer videos as a direct sort of statement against super short form content that we're all being so inundated with via TikTok, and then even on YouTube they're promoting all these YouTube shorts, and Instagram is just like trying to be TikTok, and it is just, I hate it all so much. And I really quite enjoy like a deep dive on YouTube in a longer format with somebody. We're not going to go feature film length. I don't have it in me to do that, but normally I always try to keep my videos between like 20 and 30 minutes, and today I'm just like, forget it. I just watched a whole video from one of my favorite beauty YouTubers she's really bummed. I mean, I've seen several videos like this, but where people who make long form content, who have, like, when you make a long form video, you can really get your personality and so many deep thoughts. Like, you can really dive deep on topics, right? Whereas all of these like super short form, and apparently like on TikTok, they're promoting like the shorter the better. I don't have TikTok. I kind of drew the line because I'm just spread too thin, and I can't do every platform. And it's not one that I'm interested in at all. But apparently they're promoting like 4-second videos. And part of the reason why is that like it loops, it just repeats. And by the time, it can repeat like 5 or 6 times before you realize like, oh, this is the same thing over and over again. But then you've just given that video like 5 or 6 views. And apparently that's really important to TikTokers, to the people who do that. My point is, people who make long form content are being like pushed out of these platforms. And it sucks because their content is great. And so in solidarity, I'm going to make a longer video, and also because I have more to say today. And the thing that I'm going to say is to talk about brioche. And I have a new brioche pattern. I just got the pattern back from my tech editor. And so I'm going to format it, look it over, like fix it all up, any of the stuff that she had to correct, and then have a new pattern launch for you soon, which I'm excited about. It's my first brioche pattern. So this is it. It's a scarf. And it's just like a really, I feel like it speaks for itself. It's 2-color brioche rectangular scarf with a zigzag. I mean, that's what it is, right? So it's so cushy. It is so soft. Oh, there's nothing better than brioche. And it looks good on both sides. And it's just, I'm really very happy with how it came together. It's really, you know, for a first brioche design, because designing in brioche, I was describing it to Chris, it's one of those things where it's really not difficult to do. The brioche stitch, it's just really complicated to write, in my opinion. It's like, there are a lot of times in knitting where I'm designing a pattern where it's like, the thing itself is not hard, but the way that you have to write it out in order to explain to the knitter, like the steps that they need to do, makes it seem way overcomplicated. And brioche is like that. Like the acronyms for, like the acronyms, I don't know if that's even what it's called, the abbreviations for the stitches are like 12 letters long, you know, mumbo jumbo, because it's like short versions of all these words that are stuck together. And so it just makes it look so much more complicated than it is. And so I really it was just like a new, you know, adventure trying to write it out. So I'm glad that I started with something straightforward. However, like straightforward like a scarf, I will say it's straightforward, but it has now that I have this under my belt, the zigzag is created by doing increases and decreases. And so now that I have like my formula for how to write that out clearly in a pattern, like the sky's the limit, because a sweater is just a scarf with more increases than decreases in the yoke, you know, if you're knitting it top down. You know what I mean? So the way that I did this one, I used a solid for the reverse side, and then like a really fun statement speckle for the front side. And it's just 1 skein of each, so 2 skeins of DK, this beautiful scarf, and I'm really excited about it. And then I was so excited about it that I cast on for another. Actually, I cast on for this version because I wanted to double check as I was writing it that I was, you know, had my stitch markers placed correctly and the instructions that I was doing it right. So this is just sort of to double check my work. But as I was knitting it, I'm just really digging it. I'm really digging the colors. And my daughter came home from school and was like, obviously you're knitting this for me, right, Mom? And she doesn't need a long brioche scarf. I don't think they're allowed scarves at daycare because it's kind of like a choking hazard. So I think I might try to knit her a brioche sweater. I think I'm going to design a sweater in brioche. And I'm going to use, it's 2-color brioche. I love the color. There's actually 2 purples that I'm using on the back there. I'm just pulling from my wall of yarn, little balls of yarn that I think go well together. I've only got 1 pink on this side, but 2 purples on this side. And I'm excited for the possibility. So this is I'm gonna frog this and turn this into a sweater sample, hopefully. And then I actually have a 3rd brioche project to show you. It's like when you I get obsessed with things, right? So this is very similar. This is in worsted weight yarn. This is just straight brioche, no zigzag. This is sort of, I started knitting this one and then decided to do the scarf with the zigzag and be like, I could really turn this into a pattern, I think. Like, what am I, you know, like try to work on something more specific. But this, I was just using worsted weight yarn and all kinds of greens and golds and chartreuse from my yarn wall. Just grab them and go. When I run out of one, grab another. And my theory was one side will be light and one side will be darker. And I'm just loving how the colors are working together and changing, and I'm really into it. I'm really loving it. So I started with the worsted weight one, was eager to do some kind of zigzags on it, but I had already kind of committed to doing just like a straight brioche. So then I cast on for this one and made it less scrappy, because the scrappy patterns can be hard sells for people, because if you don't have access to these types of scraps, you're like, I can't make that. When you could just make it in 2 solid colors, but then the pattern sample just becomes like less helpful for that. So you know what? It's just like a brioche town around here, and I'm pretty excited about it. I actually have a cute brioche story that I think I'll share. When I was in high school, there was a scarf at the Gap, a scarf and a sweater, hat and mitts. Like the Gap was, their thing of the season was this striped knit. I wonder if I could find a picture, and if I can, I'm going to put it here, and if not, I'm just pointing at nothing right now. So it was like iconic at the time. Everybody at my high school, like, it was one of the first things that taught me that like I don't like trends, because I'd walk down the hall and I would see all these people wearing the same sweater. And I'm like, this is really what you guys want? This is the look? Like, to look exactly the same as everybody else? But my best friend at the time, she really wanted the scarf, okay? So her grandmother, I think she asked for the scarf for Christmas. And her grandmother was like, oh, a rainbow scarf, no problem. And she knit her a rainbow scarf. But she knit it with a primary color variegated yarn. So it wasn't like the stripes. It wasn't the scarf, you know, that she wanted from the Gap. But it was like a beautiful hand-knit scarf from her grandmother. And on top of that, this was in high school before I had ever done brioche. It was knit in brioche stitch. And I didn't know that. And anyways, long story short, she got this scarf and she hated it. It's not what she wanted. And she was like, we're no longer friends, obviously. But I ended up, she gave me the scarf because I loved it. I was like, your grandmother knit this. That's so cool. I was not a hardcore knitter at the time, but obviously it was in me, because as a teen, I took that scarf. I loved that scarf and I wore it a lot. And only like a decade later did I realize, because I always thought, so she was European, she wasn't Canadian, her grandmother. And I was like, it must be a special stitch that they do there, because I did know enough about knitting at the time to know that it wasn't stockinette, it wasn't ribbing. And I was like, what is this? It was brioche. And so I have like a real affinity for it. I just feel, I mean, it's taken me a long time. I've had Tannis Fibers for like 15 years and I've never published a brioche design. So to say that I have like a strong bond with brioche isn't exactly fair. But it is. I do like that story because her grandmother, so cool, knitting brioche scarves in the 90s. Like, she's great. So proud of her. proud of her and proud of myself for finally being as cool as her and knitting brioche scarves. The last thing I want to show you today, I've talked about these in a previous episode, and I've finally finished. I have 800 grams. This is a 200 gram skein, so it's only 7 skeins, but it's 800 grams of hand spun yarn. Look at that. So again, the 200 gram skein is like a worsted bulky, and the rest are, I would probably call them like sport weight. I think heavy fingering or light DK. If I'm being honest, this one's looking DK. This one's looking a lot more fingering. I spun these over 8 years. Can you believe that? So just to tell you what it's like to be a spinner. Well, and they're so different. Like, cause anyway, I think they can all be used in the same project. Like they're pretty, multicolored, and they'll just be variegated or, you know, gradual stripe changes. I'm really excited to use them, and maybe I'll use this one first, the bulky, chunky one, to just sort of see how it's going to look knit up. Look at that. It's really funny. It's been such a journey with this, but I was in a real spinning phase in 2015. 2015, I was really into spinning, and I dyed up 800 grams of yarn to spin a sweater for myself. I spun this first, and I was like, that is not what I was expecting from this roving that I dyed. So did I say I dyed 800 grams of yarn? I meant I dyed 800 grams of roving to spin. So I kind of just put it aside because it didn't meet my expectations. It was like, you know, expectations versus reality. And I'm like, this isn't the sweater that I want. I don't want to commit the next 2 months of my life to spinning this when I'm not even going to be happy with it. And then my son was born, and I didn't spin for 6 years because the way that I spin, I don't know, other people must have different systems or different setups, but I really, fiber is really delicate, and my son was not capable of being around fiber. He was like a kitten. Like, I couldn't have it out. And my house, I didn't have a place to put it like that he would, unless I put it up somewhere really high, but I couldn't put my spinning wheel up high. Like, I just could not spin until he turned 6, apparently. So I decided I was going to finish it. I had this project and I was going to finish it. And so I did, and I'm so excited. And the yarn has now grown on me tremendously. Like, now I don't know what I'm going to do. I still want to knit myself a sweater. I just can't decide if I want to stripe it with a neutral, if I want it to be all this yarn, if I want it to have a pattern. I have an idea, but I think I need to sort of knit a swatch and see. I suspect it's going to be really quite stripy. I think if I wind one into a cake, and we'll be able to sort of see the patterning in the ball, and then I'll knit a little swatch and we'll see. But they look really beautiful like this, sort of like all watercolory and subtle and lovely. But I suspect that when I knit it, it's going to be just like really clear color stripes, which I just need to keep in mind. You know, it would look great in 2-color brioche probably. Maybe I'll keep that in mind. But what a fun project, and it makes me feel like long-term projects are really rewarding. I used to always have a blanket on the go, and you would just knit like one square at a time, and then like 3 years later, seam it together and have a blanket. And I haven't done that in a while. I don't have a large project like that. I tend to start and finish projects really, even though I have like 3 brioches on the go right now. It's, they're just scarves. That's fine. They don't count, right? So maybe I need to start another ambitious spin, and then in 8 years I'll have 2 sweaters maybe. And it's just the process. It's so lovely. I'm so happy to have that. So there you go. I hope that you enjoyed this longer video. Let me know if you did. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. It's really the comments. I'm not too caught up on subscribes and likes. But I do like getting comments, like as in feedback. I like to know if there's something, like if you're like, I will not watch a 45-minute video from you, Tanis, just tell me so that I don't keep doing them. And I don't know if I'm always going to have 45 minutes. Today I'm obviously just feeling exceptionally chatty. And, oh, I also want to tell you to sign up for the newsletter. If you have watched to the very, very end of this video, you probably already are signed up for my newsletter. But I'm trying really hard to send out a newsletter once a week. And in the newsletter, I'm including a coupon code for a pattern. So there's going to be like a pattern discount in every single week. What's not to love? Yeah, and I just think it's important to have sort of like a home base, because you just can't rely on these other platforms to show your followers your stuff. And so I would, you know, I think the newsletter is the future. The newsletter is the way to go. So sign up. You're going to love it. You won't regret it. And you know what? If you do regret it and you don't love it, just hit unsubscribe. It's totally fine. I don't get an email about it being like, so-and-so unsubscribed, so there will be no hard feelings. I have no way of knowing any of those details. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're excited for holiday knitting. Oh my gosh, I didn't even talk about my holiday knitting plans. Probably mostly because they are not yet formed. But maybe I'll have my act together for an upcoming episode where I will make some plans, commit them to paper, and chat it through with you. I hope it's nice wherever you are, and take care of yourself.